Hey everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss?, where today I'll be breaking down the 7th episode of the 3rd season of Star Trek Lower Decks, titled A Mathematically Perfect Redemption. This episode gave us a chance to catch up with a few characters that have appeared on Lower Decks before, mainly the exocomp Peanut Hamper, who we follow for most of the episode. There were also quite a few other callbacks to past Star Trek episodes, and I will go over all those and more here. First, I would like to thank you for clicking on this video and remind you the best way to help support my channel is by hitting the like and subscribe buttons, and I would very much appreciate it if you did that. The title of the episode is actually a callback to Peanut Hamper's first appearance on Lower Decks, which was in the explosive first season finale titled No Small Parts. In that episode, she explained to Tendi that she chose the name Peanut Hamper after examining the Federation Languages database and assessing what the most mathematically perfect name would be.
So, I analyzed all Federation languages and calculated a mathematically perfect name.
What is it?
Peanut Hamper!
As I mentioned, Peanut Hamper is an exocomp, a robot designed to be a utility industrial tool, but were found to have sentience, thanks to the efforts of Data, who proved to the Federation that exocomps were in fact alive and should not be forced into any task in the Next Generation episode Quality of Life. But even more so, Data as well as Captain Picard were vital in the acceptance of artificial life forms in Starfleet, as in the Next Generation episode Measure of a Man, which happened years before the events that took place in Quality of Life. Data was put on trial in an effort to determine if he was a piece of property that belonged to the Federation or if he was a new life form.
Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits.
By showing that Data was a sentient being then, this allowed future artificial life forms like Peanut Hamper to serve in Starfleet. Another fun fact about exocomps is that they are one of Lower Decks creator Mike McMahon's favorite things to come out of the Next Generation era. He has stated that the reason that Peanut Hamper sways back and forth from time to time on screen is to simulate how the exocomp props on the Next Generation would react to being moved on fishing line, which is what was used to hold them up in live action. This episode is also one of the rare Star Trek episodes that mostly follows characters that are not the main cast of the show, such as the Voyager episode's Distant Origin, which followed a pair of Voth scientists as they study the human species, as well as the episode Living Witness, in which a backup copy of the Doctor hologram is activated hundreds of years in the future on a distant planet. The episode begins from Peanut Hamper's point of view during the final act of the Season 1 finale episode of Lower Decks. In that scene, the Cerritos was close to being destroyed by the Packlids, if not for the heroic efforts of Shax, who was seemingly killed in the incident, only to be brought back from the dead with little explanation the next season, as well as Captain Riker and the USS Titan, who we see arrive just in time to save the crew. After the battle, Peanut Hamper is left behind after the Cerritos warps away and does not check for inorganic life. This creates a bitter resentment within the exocomp against all organic life forms. Starfleet officers seem to make a lot of enemies by just forgetting people on planets, such as when a copy of Will Riker was created and left behind only to be found by the Enterprise D crew many years later in the Next Generation episode Second Chances, or when Captain Kirk stranded Khan and his people on a planet in the episode Space Seed, only to meet Khan again decades later in the film Wrath of Khan. While she is stranded in space, Peanut Hamper creates an object for herself to talk to named Sophia. This is a reference to the Tom Hanks film Castaway, in which his character creates a friend for himself made out of a volleyball that he names Wilson. Just as Peanut Hamper is set to try and escape, she is come upon by Drukmani scavengers. The Drukmani debuted in the Lower Decks first season episode Terminal Provocations, and their leader is voiced by J.G. Hertzler, who returns also for this episode. He has played a few characters on different Star Trek series, but is most widely known for his performance as the Klingon General and then Chancellor Martok on Deep Space Nine. His Drukmani character also wears an eye patch, which is also a reference to the Martok character. Mr. Hertzler also voiced an automated version of his infamous Klingon character this season on Lower Decks in the episode The Least Dangerous Game. Peanut Hamper eventually finds her way to a planet that's populated by a feathered species that looks similar to hawks. At first, she has no issue with showing this apparent pre-warp civilization advanced technology, and then learns that they developed warp technology in the past. This means that she was not violating the Prime Directive, which requires that Starfleet personnel not interfere with the development of pre-warp cultures. Peanut Hamper also reveals that she never wanted to join Starfleet, and she just did it to get back at her father. Instead, she wanted to be a Dabo girl on Freecloud. Dabo is a game that was featured heavily in Quark's bar on Deep Space Nine, and Lita was a very popular Dabo girl on the station. Freecloud looks to be a Las Vegas-type planet that was first seen on the series Picard in the episode Stardust City Rag. Years pass on the planet, and just as Peanut Hamper is set to be married, the Drukmani return in an effort to salvage the technology that the planet's inhabitants had buried beneath their city. This causes Peanut Hamper to send out a distress signal that is picked up by the Cerritos. In an effort to destroy the Drukmani ships, Peanut Hamper crashes a shuttle into the ship and overloads the engines, which is almost exactly what Shax did in the finale episode of the first season, showing that Peanut Hamper probably learned this act of bravery from witnessing Shax. However, everyone learns that it was Peanut Hamper who alerted the Drukmani in the first place and is responsible for their presence there. She states that she never intended to stay on the planet and that the inhabitants were just a poor man's version of the Aurelians. The Aurelians are another avian humanoid species that were first introduced on the original animated series and have also been featured on Lower Decks. An agitated Peanut Hamper states that everyone is intimidated by her advanced intelligence and that instead she should contact the Borg. This is probably a reference to the character Lore, Data's brother, who also had delusions of grandeur that led him to contact a group of Borg drones and become their leader in the Next Generation episode titled Descent. Finally, Peanut Hamper is taken back to the Daystrom Institute on Earth and held in the self-aware, megalomaniacal computer storage area. This location has been seen before in the second season episode Where Pleasant Fountains Lie and stores many examples of evil artificial intelligence. The facility itself is a reference to the warehouse scene in the film Raiders of the Lost Ark that contains items too dangerous for the public to be aware of. Peanut Hamper is placed next to an AI named Agamus that first appeared in the same episode of Lower Decks and is voiced by beloved Star Trek character actor Jeffrey Combs. It is probably not a coincidence that an episode featuring the voices of J.G. Hertzler and Jeffrey Combs comes after an episode in which the Lower Decks crew visited Deep Space Nine, since both actors were known for characters that they played on that series. In Mr. Combs' case, it is more than just one character, as both the Vorta Weyoun and the Ferengi Brunt are among his most popular roles. Well, that was everything I saw, but let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please hit that like button if you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time on What Did I Miss?